The Cuyahoga County Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee is called to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll for Ms. Turner,
Present.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Ms. Conwell,
Present.
Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no one has signed in for public comment.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the January 30th meeting?
So moved.
Second, all moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay,
The first item will be taken out of order. We'll be taking item 5E, Resolution 2024-0058, confirming the county executive's reappointment of the Honorable Mayor Kim Thomas to serve on the Cuyahoga County Advisory Board on Senior and Adult Services for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
okay, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Toscas.
Morning, Madam Chair. Zoe Toscas on behalf of the County Executive and pursuant to Section 6.04 of the Cuyahoga County Charter, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of the Honorable Mayor Kim Thomas to serve on the Cuyahoga County Advisory Board on Senior and Adult Services for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. And Mayor Kim Thomas is here for her presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor. Please state your name for the record.
Kim Thomas. And so I apologize, I still don't have my voice back, but I'm going to do what the councilman said, be bold, be brief, and be gone. And so it is my honor to ask that I humbly asked it to be reappointed to the DSAS board, but I actually have two asks. And so I also ask that the rest of my colleagues are reappointed because we together work to do amazing work for our board. My second ask is, I'm going to be bold. Our seniors, for the county to consider allocating more funds to our seniors so we can continue to do the work that we started. In Richmond Heights, we have a population of 10,800. 14% of those residents are seniors. And so it is because of this board, the DSAS board, we're able to do the work for our seniors. And the collaboration with the Western Reserve, the collaboration with CPA, which is Cleveland Partnership on Aging, and with the Senior Transportation Board. You know, I was always taught that if there's no money, there's no mission. So again, I humbly ask to be reappointed to the board, but I also ask that this body consider on allocating more funds to our senior board. When I left the house today, you know, I do live with two seniors do live with me, my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, who are pastors who moved here from PA because my brother had some health issues, and there's no greater place to get the service and treatment you need than in Cleveland, at the Cleveland Clinic or UH. And so I asked my sister-in-law this morning, I said, being a senior, what are some of the things that you feel the seniors really need? And she said, Mayor, we need affordable housing. We need companionship. And I asked her, I said, well, you're married, you have a husband, you have companionship. And she said, yes, that's true, but my husband has dementia. So it's not like that companionship that she had a year ago. And it's little things like just having someone with you, but being able to recognize that there's something missing and there's a disconnect without the services. For her, she plays bingo with him on a daily basis. So again, I humbly ask that I am appointed to this board, but also I have Janet and Doug that's in back of me, that together we do amazing work. And my boldness is to ask for more funding for our DSAS board. Without money, there's no mission. So again, thank you so much for hearing me out and allowing me. I apologize, I couldn't go a little bit higher, but I want to give you everything that I got. So again, thank you guys so much.
Okay, questions from my colleagues? Councilman Conwell? Oh, What?
So you're bold, brief, and gone. But
Yes. But, let me just share this. I do follow directions very well. So the councilman said, be bold, be brief, and be gone. So, but I am here to answer any questions that you all may have.
Okay, through the chair to the mayor. You talked about the 10,000 plus population in Richmond Heights, and 14% of them are seniors. Have you noticed an intake of home ownership buying from younger citizens, or is it primarily, an older population that, or residents that live in your community? Because I've been kind of trying to keep up on the stats of the seniors and how they're aging in specific communities.
So, Councilwoman, restate that again so I can make sure that I answer it correctly.
Yeah, so you stated 14%
Yes.
currently are seniors. Is there any uptick in younger residents buying homes?
Yes, okay, thank you so much. Yes, there is. We're starting to be more of a younger population. Our seniors are either transitioning out to assisted living or selling their homes because they can't afford to maintain their homes. So absolutely. We have over 5,000 residents in our housing population. 34% of those residents in the housing population live in apartments. And so some of our residents that are seniors also live in those apartments. And that is because it's a little bit more affordable than purchasing a home. The other thing that I can share is that the seniors that are in homes right now are struggling to make ends meet, to pay their bills. So when you have to really make the decision to purchase medicine or pay your bills, you're going to look for ways to probably pay medicine, buy medicine. And I can say that because my in-laws are currently with me. They have a stable home, but it's the prescription cost that keeps them up at night. Now, if I didn't have them, affordable housing would be extremely costly for them. We are currently working with HUD Housing to see how we can help provide affordable housing for our seniors. If you look at what they're charging seniors for assisted living, anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000, and the average senior can't pay that. And there's seniors that's being put on a waiting list, 5 to 10-year waiting list, if you want to live in a decent location.
Any other question, Councilman Miller and Gallagher?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Honorable Mayor. Thank you very much for your service for our senior community, which is very important for Cuyahoga County. And my question is besides affordable housing, which you've highlighted this morning, what other unmet needs are you aware of where additional funding is necessary?
I would say food insecurity, just making sure they have the food that they need. We run a food pantry on a monthly basis every Thursday, and we have gridlock traffic just for seniors to come and pick up a bag of groceries that will probably only last them a week. But we also have Western Reserve, who partners with CPA, who provides those daily meals to our residents. So food insecurity is is a major issue. Not to mention the transportation. Some of our residents are unable to get to point A to point B because they don't have the transportation. But we are very thankful for DSAS for partnering with the senior transportation. So thank you for asking.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Gallagher?
Mayor, welcome.
Thank you.
There are people in this room whose eyes are going to go to the ceiling, but since I've been on this council and I consider myself unsuccessful in my wants to provide the needs to our seniors in this county, knowing, of course, what is provided to the seniors in Franklin County, which outshines Cuyahoga County, I believe it, the last time I looked, was 5 or 6 to 1. They do have a set-aside levy for their seniors in Franklin. I have approached all 3 administrations since I've been here. I can't seem to get anybody interested in putting a senior levy on the ballot. Politically, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but if there's money there for my parents and your parents or me or my kids as they age out, it's a win-win for everybody. We are horrible to our seniors in this county. Do the best we can with what we have, but we have 100,000 more seniors, probably more now, than Franklin County. And they outspend us 5, 6 to 1. It is maddening to me. And yet, and again, I don't want to segue too much into other things, but now we have people with their hands out for specific reasons, for entertainment buildings and things like that. And no one seems to want to even consider or talk about a levy for our seniors. It's a way in which we could put 50, 60 million a year into services, programming, and the necessary needs. And as you said, transportation's a huge issue with seniors as they age out and they can't get around. It not only psychologically pushes them closer to a grave, but it takes away their dignity. I would do, when I was on city council in Strongsville, which is a great city for our seniors, we do them. I grew up in Lakewood, which is great for seniors, and now Strongsville is fantastic for seniors. But I'd have a food drive, and within the food drive, we'd ask for deodorant, toothbrushes, toothpaste. And the seniors would come in not for the food, but for the items that we would collect. It's heartbreaking. And no one will get off the dime in this county to address it. So your ask has been there for 14 years, and in my opinion, has been ignored for 14 years. This is doable. This is a win. It's not going to lose if you put it on the ballot, but we have a lot of silos still in this county that don't want to see it because they don't want their little egg touched.
Okay.
So I'm a little frustrated over that, and I consider myself someone that has lost this battle, even though I continue to, every now and again, when people like you come up here, you're now on the front line seeing it in Richmond Heights, and these are the people that built these cities, laid these roads, educated our kids, educated us, and we have turned our backs on them. And it's despicable. And hopefully, some administration, sometime, somewhere, will decide that the seniors matter in this town, not just at election time.
Thank you for your passion and thank you for sharing that. But I want to go back on the record and state the senior population in Richmond Heights, 24.8%. I did say 14, but it's 24.8% of seniors. And closing, I just want to say thank you all for just allowing me to speak and to share my passion, but also to ask for reappointment to the DSAS board. And again, I'm going to be bold and ask for additional funding for the DSAS board. I'm in the process right now of preparing our city budget. In our budget, I had to make sure I allocated enough funding for transportation. It shouldn't always fall on the municipality, but that is what we're dealing with right now. And I'm willing to do whatever I can for our seniors because one day I will be there and I'm not far from it right now. So again, thank you for allowing me to come before you, Madam Chair. And so I feel like amongst not only family members, but friends. So my voice is going to go in and out, and so please forgive me. I'm hoping it can stay consistent, but there's times that it's not. Right now, it's a little better. So again, thank you for just allowing me to speak before you.
Okay. Well, I have one more question. I want you
Please,
to save
bring it.
some of your voice for the other things that you have to do today.
It's gonna be a long day. I have council tonight.
One question, and of course, this is like family. I know that you are an amazing, dedicated, loyal wife, and mother to your children. I know that you are an activist. We have endeavored on many things together. And I know that if you could, you would take all of the seniors in need into your home. But unfortunately, I'm sure you don't have the capacity to do that.
No, I
in
don't.
A county as large as ours. So I wanted to ask you, with limited affordable housing, what do you believe will assist older adults in remaining safely
Yes.
and independently in their homes, whether it's because of taxes or utilities and just their
yes.
inability to be able to manage that later in their life? You have any suggestions, or your colleagues maybe?
Yeah,
have?
and so thank you, Madam Chair, for asking that question. I know my lane. But when I don't understand, I depend heavily on administration. And so I would probably ask that question to administration. Their needs are greater, and they would know the needs. As a board member, I only see a portion. They're in the weeds every day, so they will be able to give you a little bit more detail what they really need. For me, I would say programming services, but what does that really look like? They can give you a detailed description of what that looks like.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, well, if there are no further questions from the Honorable Mayor Kim Thomas, this is a second reading under suspension. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, well then, thank you.
Madam Chair, do I come back for the third reading, or do I?
If you want to, but no.
I just want to know how to map out my schedule.
Love to see you.
That's all.
No, this is going to move forward after we take a vote to the next council meeting for a third reading and passage.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. May I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading approval under suspension of the rules?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
May I ask a question, Madam Chair, to Ms. Zoe Toskis? Is there a reason that each of the legislation was separate?
It
Are there-
allows for more flexibility for, if we submitted an entire slate and like 3 folks were not able to show up today, the folks that did show up today would be held in committee. So we separated everybody so that we can continue to fill board seats while we wait for other schedules to show up to HR committee.
This seems like a lot of extra work.
It is, but in order to keep these board seats filled, it's something our team and the council team has decided to do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2023-0318, confirming the county executive's reappointment of various individuals to serve on the Cuyahoga County Citizens Advisory Council on Equity for the term July 15th, 2023 through July 14th, 2026, for the reappointments of Dr. Heidi Gullett, Eddie Taylor, and Janice Contreras.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to Cuyahoga County Ordinance Number 2012-0002. I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Heidi Gullett to serve on the Cuyahoga County Citizens Advisory Council on Equity for the term July 15th, 2023 through July 14th, 2026. We are requesting a second reading suspension for this, and Ms. Gullett is here today for her presentation.
Dr. Gullett?
I thought Dr. Gullett was here. I apologize.
Madam Chair, did you want to move on to the next item?
Yes, please.
Resolution 2024-0049, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County non-bargaining classification plan.
Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Albert Bouchahine, the Manager of Classification and Compensation for the Personnel Review Commission. Before you for your consideration today are modifications to the county's non-bargaining classification plan. Changes in departments' operational needs and routine maintenance necessitate the creation of 3 new classifications and the revision of 2 classifications. 2 of the proposed classifications, new classifications, were requested by the administration, and if adopted, will be posted and filled. The third is a result of a position audit conducted by the Department of Human Resources. Both of the revisions are part of the PRC's routine maintenance process and should not have any fiscal impact. All the modifications before you have been approved and recommended to you at their January 10th, 2024 meeting. We have worked extensively with the department management and the Department of Human Resources to ensure that they're fully informed of these classifications. I thank you for your consideration, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Okay, so we have created the caregiver coach. Okay, what is that? What's the rationale?
This is a position, again, requested by the HHS department, specifically the Department of Children and Family Services. This position, once adopted, will be filled. This position will be entrusted to provide coaching to the foster parents, new foster parents in the county, and they'll also be responsible for analyzing the success of the coaching that we're providing these caregivers.
Okay, well, this is new, so there's no elimination of any other classifications as it relates to this position.
No, Madam Chair, this is a new classification and had no impact on any other classification.
Okay. Supervisor application support.
Madam Chair, this again was requested by the Department of Health and Human Services in coordination with the IT department. This person will report to the HHS director and is responsible for providing support to HHS-specific applications, such as some of the state programs that they run for children and family services, child support enforcement.
Okay, and then the supervisor for the civil administrative unit.
This is a position that came about as a result of a position audit of 3 employees over at the Sheriff's Department. It was found that they were not working in the essential functions that they're performing were not consistent with the classification they currently had. We didn't have another classification that was suitable, so we created a brand new classification that was reflective of the work they performed.
Okay, was there any change in the pay?
There will be a slight fiscal impact for these employees, but that will be determined by the Department of Human Resources as they're responsible for setting employee salaries. And our understanding is that they have to work within the budget currently allotted to the Sheriff's Department.
And that makes sense. Questions? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Bouchine. May I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for a second reading?
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0051, confirming the county executive's appointment of Ronnie J. Cannon to serve on the Cuyahoga County Citizens Advisory Council on Equity for the term July 15th, 2023 through July 14th, 2026.
Morning, Madam Chair. On behalf of the county executive and pursuant to Cuyahoga County Ordinance Number 2012-0002, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Ronnie Cannon to serve on the Cuyahoga County Citizens Advisory Council on Equity for the term July 15th, 2023 through July 14th, 2026. Ronnie will be replacing Victor Ruiz, and we are requesting a second read suspension. Thank you. And Ronnie is here for his presentation.
Good morning. Mr. Cannon, welcome.
Good morning, one and all. Madam Chair, my name is Ronnie Cannon. This is indeed an honor for me to come before you this morning. Several years ago, I had an opportunity to be a part of a racial equity forum through groundwater training. And within that training, everyone that was a part of that training was wondering what's next. You know, you get filled in your belly, want to come back in your community and do something. This is my next. So coming before you this morning, it is indeed an honor to stand here this morning. So again, my name is Ronnie Cannon, and I have a number of years working in this space, work with individuals that are disadvantaged, mainly those of the Black and brown communities, through my 10-year plus working at an organization here in Cleveland, Ohio by the name of Towards Employment, doing workforce development. I see it every day, the impacts that people are feeling from systemic issues that are hampering them from being productive citizens within this community. So having this opportunity to sit on this council, giving my voice, being a listening ear, I think bodes well for me. And there are three things that I think really stands out that I can give voice to. And one is the well-paying jobs and how can we do that within our community for those that are disadvantaged within our society. The second one is affordable housing. I heard it was mentioned earlier as it related to the senior population, but this is the same thing can be said true for those that are disadvantaged because they might have justice involvement or little to no opportunities to find affordable housing for themselves. And the last one of which would be the criminal justice system. As I stated before, my 10 years working at Towards Employment, I've come across individuals, whether it's on the city, the county, or even the state or the federal level, that individuals that have justice involvement and them trying to re-engage within society is something that I bring to the table with my expertise as well. So again, I do appreciate this opportunity to come before you today and gladly accept this opportunity if it is so granted.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ronnie, you just seem excited. You like going by Ronnie?
Absolutely.
Good, because you seem comfortable and your smile is great. I just want to say you're going to do a great job. Your expertise from Towards Employment, right?
Correct, sir.
Because I have the opportunity to work with them throughout my career, and it's just a wonderful organization. And your face is a great example of that organization. So good luck if we can ever help as your journey goes. And through the chair, just one thing I like to say is when you're there, you're nice, but you are a strong, independent gentleman that I want your vision and your passion to come out. And there's going to be a chairman, there's going to be 4 other colleagues, and I just want you to let it free flow and have an impact that I know it's going to happen. So thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Councilman Kamau.
Yes, through the chair to Mr. Cannon, are there any other boards that you currently sit on that is connected to the racial equity lens?
I am a member, and I'm a board member of 1,000 Ties. It's a male mentoring program for young men that actually teach them life skills and also the importance of being stand-up individuals within our community. And I've been a part of the organization for the better part of 6 years as not only a board member, but also as a mentor. And I have 2 mentees that serve underneath me.
Okay, Mr. Cannon, last time we saw each other, I think we were all at the food bank grand opening, so it's always a pleasure to see you. We mentioned that we were going to connect, and I didn't know it was going to be this way, but I'm happy about that. Let me ask you, how do you see the work of CASE and similar efforts in the city of Cleveland working in tangent one with the other without duplication? Like, where are the opportunities to work with the city who have also declared racism as a public health crisis along with Cuyahoga County in 2020? So are there opportunities for us to work together without necessarily doing the same work?
I definitely think there's opportunity, and what I failed to mention was, as my role at Towards Employment, I'm the senior manager of community engagement, right? So that's working hand in hand with those that we serve in our community. And I noticed, as it was presented to me by Executive Chris Ronayne, I'd never heard of CASE up until he presented it to me. And I was like, that's one thing I think that's kind of like could be enhanced for this position. And through my extensive background within community engagement, I think I bring that to the table as well. So, but to your question, Madam Chair, I definitely think that there's a lot of synergy because our city, actually Cleveland, encompass, Cuyahoga County encompass Cleveland. So I definitely think there's a lot of opportunity for both to work together in tandem.
Absolutely. And I would love to follow up with you. City of Cleveland, just I think at the beginning of the month, launched their commission, Black Women and Girls. I was able to be a part of that ceremony. We also have launched our own Women's Minority Health Commission here. So I'm already talking with Councilwoman Deborah Gray and Councilwoman Stephanie House about ways that we can, work together to impact women's health in the county and in the city. And so finally, because you said it, every action we take impacts the lives of others around us. The question is, are you aware of your impact? So I pose that question to you in closing. Are you aware of your impact?
I am. So I am relatively new into this space, but I coined myself as being the voice for the voiceless, having connections across a number of different spectrums, one being a young black man in the inner city of East Cleveland, having some connections with the juvenile justice system, and also now my role now in workforce development. I'm definitely aware of where I stand in this community and how I can benefit and, again, be the voice for the voiceless. So absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for your service. As mentioned before, after we vote today, this will be moved to the next council meeting. I believe it's on February 27th for third reading. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilman.
may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
My question is if you could give me your assessment on how Cuyahoga County is doing on creating an equitable community and what are the largest challenges that remain.
This is a great question. Do we have the time for this here? So I think personally and professionally, because I do work in the realm, and I think it was mentioned earlier about staying in your lane. My lane is workforce development, right? And understanding that, but it's not just workforce development, but it's also those social determinants of work that impacts individuals to gain gainful employment. So whether you're looking at from our digital divide as it impacts individuals in our community, our healthcare systems, all these things play a factor in the work that I do. So I definitely think that in Cuyahoga County, there are a lot of strides that are being made. There are a number of opportunities and services that's being provided, but one is getting that information out to the people that needs it most is a challenge that I see. But also just continue to put one foot in front of the other, but also formulating councils like the Citizens Advisory Council on Equity is a great stride in the right direction as well, sir.
So, Madam Chair, Bonnie, thank you for that answer, and it's a fortunate thing that the advisory council is large enough that people can focus on the aspects that they're most familiar with. So you can certainly play a very positive role on workforce development, which there's certainly a great need for equity advocacy in that area. So thank you very much for your willingness to serve, and you have my support.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Councilman. All right, well, there are no further questions. We'll call for the vote. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Madam
Cannon.
Chair. Thank you.
May I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading under suspension of the rules?
So moved.
We have a second, moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Resolution 2024-0055, confirming the county executive's appointment of Christina Bohuslawski Brown to serve on the Cuyahoga County Advisory Board on Senior and Adult Services for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to section 604 of the Cuyahoga County Charter, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Christina Bohuslawski Brown to serve on the Cuyahoga County Advisory Board on Senior and Adult Services for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. Christina will be replacing Bill Hebel, and we are requesting a second reading suspension. I'm sorry for butchering your last name.
You did great. Good morning, Madam Chair, council members. Thank you for having me this morning. My name is Christina Bohuslawski Brown. I have been a county employee for the last 13 or so years, believe it or not. My county employment actually started in Ashland County. then on to Wayne County, and now to my hometown, Cuyahoga County. And it kind of runs the gamut. My experience runs the gamut. I've worked with juveniles, I've worked welfare fraud, I've worked domestic relations court, I've worked at our very own county jail here in Cuyahoga, and now I'm at the Adams Board, and I really enjoy the work that I do there. I do client rights. Actually, Bill Hebel, whom I'm replacing, is my partner officer. And together we investigate allegations of client rights violations during the provision of mental health and addiction services in the county. I am looking forward very much to serving on the board for the Division of Senior and Adult Services. I'm an older millennial, and I also fall into this tiny gap of my generation where I am raising my own children, but I am also the caretaker of my parents. I have older parents. My mom died when she was 75, so just a couple years ago. When she passed, I kind of took over the day-to-day operations of my grandmother. My grandmother died just a couple months ago at age 99, and my dad is 86, so I kind of manage his medical and his, all the pieces that he does to get on with his life. All members of community members of Cuyahoga County. So sitting on this board is really important to me because I sort of understand the nuances that seniors really, really need in this community in order to function physically, mentally, emotionally, and have that stability to sort of feel normal in their lives. I appreciate the opportunity. I thank you guys. I look forward to very much serving on this board and making an impact in any way that I can. And thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you. The teacher in me, I was sitting here, I was clapping out the syllables in your name. Boslowski.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
That's
Boslowski.
perfect.
All right. Well, thank you. My heartfelt condolences on your loss.
Thank you.
You seem to have found another gear. Because oftentimes when we lose our parents or lose loved ones, it propels us to do what they prepared us to do, right?
Yeah.
So considering you are taking care of older citizens, can you tell us what are 3 pressing concerns for older adults today and how we can overcome these barriers? What strategies?
Sure. I think when I think of my dad, who's pretty well-rounded, gets around pretty well at 86, he still is able to do a lot of things. But I know for him, he's on a fixed income, and a lot of these services and things that he depends on, it doesn't necessarily work on a fixed income. So I think that, strategizing in ways that we can make services and offerings a little bit more meaningful for more bang for your buck sort of situation. I think too, boredom is a big one. There's not a whole lot to do specifically. I mean, we have a lot of senior centers and things like that, but I don't know necessarily that they're all well known about, I should say. So, and I think too, transportation. My dad still drives, but he gets nervous to drive in the winter. So he depends on me to take him to his appointments. He depends on me to take him to the places he needs to go in the winter. And, I'm certainly happy to do that. But also, if there was a little bit more readily available transportation, for seniors, not just for medical appointments, but to get to the grocery store, to get to, a community function, an event like that. So certainly I have a lot more learning to do. I only know what I know, which is the little bubble that exists in our family and the places I need to take him, and the things he does. But I look forward to learning all there is to know about the services here in Cuyahoga County for our senior citizenship population.
Thank you. Questions? Councilman Miller and then Sweeney.
So, thank you very much for your willingness to serve. And my message is just not to discount the value of your experience. I think it's hugely valuable. So often, policy-making boards exist in rarefied atmospheres where the people really have no direct experience with the problems that they're dealing with. And so I think to bring that lived experience to the advisory council, you just can't beat it. It's just very helpful. And I thank you for your willingness to serve and wish you well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Caring soul, I see. What about, I mean, you got a lot on your plate now.
I do, but
Adding this is, I know you're going to do it, but how much time commitment is this? Once a month kind of thing?
I think it'll be okay. I think it'll all be good. There's time for important work to be done, so there's time for it.
Does anybody help through the chair? This is more personal. Anybody help you? Or you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my husband is a rock star, so we juggle it all.
That's perfect. That's
Yeah.
all this.
Yes.
I just wanted to,
Thank you.
my description of you, but also just want to see the time balance.
Yes, thank
Madam
you.
Chairwoman.
Okay.
Got the husband rock star.
He
That
is a rock star.
Send the video to him.
All right, well, if there are no further questions for Ms. Bauslowski Brown, we will call for the question. May I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading, approval under suspension of the rules?
So moved?
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Madam Chair, Council Rule 9C allows for the reading of very similar items by abbreviated titles. Therefore, items F and G will be read into the record by abbreviated titles if there are no objections.
Proceed.
Thank you. Resolution 2024-0064, the reappointment of Douglas Bennett for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to Section 604 of the Cuyahoga County Charter, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Douglas Bennett to serve on the Cuyahoga County Advisory Board on Senior and Adult Services for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. We are requesting a second reading suspension. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Bennett.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and other council members. I, like my other colleagues,
Mr. Bennett, if you could just state your name for the
sorry.
record. Thank you.
Sorry, Douglas Bennett. I'm Vice President of External Affairs for Step Forward, which is the designated community action agency for Cuyahoga County.
Thank you.
As I was stating, I do humbly appreciate your support for the reappointment to the DSAS board. As my colleague, Mayor Kim said, just get up there and say ditto to what she said. So, but it has been a fascinating experience since I've been on this DSAS board. We have had the opportunity as colleagues to partner with a lot of different community events that impact seniors. One of the things that our agency in particular, we see a lot of seniors through our home energy assistance program. We actually have the largest home energy assistance program in the state. We see normally about 20 to 25,000 people that come through our doors every year seeking energy. That means heat as well as electric assistance, and many of them are seniors. As you know, with the economy the way it is now, sometimes they have to make a decision on whether they pay for their medicine or if they pay for heat and their electric bills as well as their food, which we also help them with. So the DSAS board and the colleagues that I work with on an everyday basis are hugely important for the senior population of Cuyahoga County. So I humbly again ask for your support as we continue to do this very important work in this area.
Okay. Let me ask you about your experience with staff and administrators in terms of implementation of this work.
Is you talking administrators of the county level?
The DSAS, where, you know, your whatever interaction you have had with the administration
Yes.
and the staff in this space.
They have been extremely supportive, and they've been great to work with. And obviously, Maridel is, as I'll take Christina's work as a word for her husband, is a rock star. She has been very supportive, as well as this body, as well as the county executive's office. So they have been great to work with since I've been at least on the DSAS board.
No? Any questions from my colleagues? Okay, Mr. Bennett, you get off easy today.
I like that.
We thank you for your desire to continue to serve. And again, this will move forward to the February 27th council meeting. May I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading under suspension of the rules? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0065, the reappointment of Janet Keeler, Ph.D., for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to Section 604 of the Cuyahoga County Charter, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Janet Keeler to serve on the Cuyahoga County Advisory Board on Senior and Adult Services for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. We are requesting a second reading suspension. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Good
good morning,
morning.
everyone. Thank you for having me here. This is Janet Keeler. I graciously ask for reappointment for a second term on the DSAS Advisory Board. My journey here was a little bit different than Christina's. She had a plethora of experience in a number of different agencies. I come to you with 28 years of experience working at the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities. 19 years as a psychologist, so I understand the older and disability populations as a clinician. 5 years as the director of our adult services program, so I understand the older and disability population as a service provider, and 4 years as the director of community education and development, so I understand the importance of advocacy and outreach. And bringing disability to the forefront of the DSAS community was important to me, which is why I was interested in this board position. 24% of our population has a disability, and it's important to me to be mindful of that and making sure that stays on the minds of the DSAS, rest of my fellow colleagues at the DSAS board, as well as the DSAS staff. And so again, I echo Mayor Kim's request for additional funding to be able to support not only our older adults, but our adults with disabilities in Cuyahoga County. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from my colleagues? Councilman Miller.
So, just a comment that we always hear talk about, well, we should tear down the silos and understand the interrelationships, and it's certainly the case that a large percentage of the senior population deals with various kinds of disabilities, and so I think your service is extremely valuable, and I greatly appreciate your willingness to serve and wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you. Madam PhD, you were graciously asking for their appointment. Doug is humbly asking for his, so I think you're more accurate in your description. The level of expertise and understanding as the director, you bring the wealth of knowledge and stability and questions that could be asked and answered by you. So I'm just impressed by you as a human being, as a professional, and I think you're just going to add a tremendous amount of perspective. And each of the board members have their own lanes or strengths, and I think you add a very unique one. So I'm just giving you, keep up the good work, and very thankful. And don't be shy to ask, because as a group, I try to reappoint or confirm the recommendation, but we're here to help too, because sometimes the administration and council have differing opinions. So don't be shy to ask both if we can add some value to your efforts.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. Dr. Keeler, thank you so much for your support and your advocacy on behalf of this very vulnerable part of our community. I started my career as a teacher at Shaker Middle School in the multi-handicap unit. And I just remember some of the challenges that the parents had and concerns that they had about their young people as they would move into adulthood, being able to, be a part of our community as best they could. So I know oftentimes because they don't have the voice for themselves, the type of advocacy that you provide in this space is, we can't put a value on your impact on this committee. So thank you again for your willingness to serve. And with there being no further questions, I want to thank you for appearing here today.
Thank you.
And we will call for the question, and then we'll move for approval at the next council meeting on February 27th.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, this will have to go full 3 readings. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The next one, okay? So we can have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading.
So moved.
Second.
And moving to second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Ordinance 2024-0001, providing for the adoption of a modified section 6.12 of the Cuyahoga County Employee Handbook.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. Sarah Nemistil, Director of the Department of Human Resources. So this proposed ordinance seeks to amend Section 6.12 of the Employee Handbook to incorporate a policy and procedure concerning the reemployment of former Cuyahoga County employees of a county executive agency or county council who retired from the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System and seek reemployment into the same or similar position held at the time of retirement. Again, the policy only concerns those employees who were subject to the employee handbook at the time of their retirement and seek reemployment into the same or similar position. It will not apply, for example, to someone who retired from the Court of Common Pleas or prosecutor's office and wishes to apply for a position in the fiscal office. Also, with regard to eligibility, the retiree must have been in good standing with the county at the time of retirement. The proposed policy allows reemployment into the same or similar position for the purpose of addressing operational needs. The proposed ordinance has a non-exhaustive list of examples of such needs, which would include to retain or transfer specialized knowledge from the retiree to others, to manage operational staffing needs while a search is in process or until a succession plan is ready for implementation, to maintain current capability during or in anticipation of an organizational redesign or restructuring, or to oversee or complete a significant county project or contract. In order to seek reemployment into the same or similar position, the hiring agency must submit a written request to the Department of Human Resources on the required form, detailing the operational need justifying their reemployment, and also documenting the hiring agency's succession plan. The county executive or designee must approve all such requests before the hiring agency can move forward. Rehire into appointed positions requiring confirmation by county council may require additional procedures as a matter of law, and retirees cannot be rehired into those positions unless those legal requirements have been fulfilled. And if rehired into the same position held at the time of retirement, the retiree's salary must be at least 10% lower than the base rate of pay at the time of retirement. Reemployed retirees will not be given prior service credit upon rehires. They'd be starting off just like a new county employee. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, I have a few questions. Thank you for your work on this, by the way.
Very welcome.
We had to actually create legislation to deal with this, but we did it. What is the county doing right now to limit the need to rehire critical employees?
So I do know that the executive office has sort of generated a push on succession planning, specifically documenting process and procedure for agencies. That is a priority for Chief Katie Gallagher, and I know she's working with her innovation team to help departments document their processes and procedures and process map. So the process is in place, so we can, in fact, hire people and provide them with the tools to learn the job as they're hired.
Okay. Has the county created a list of mission-critical positions that may be vacated within the near future?
We have not yet, to my knowledge.
All right. We are working on succession plans, and that's agency-wide, county-wide?
Yes, I
Or
believe
all
so.
agency-
It was
okay.
actually a presentation at our last cabinet meeting. So,
Oh, can we see that? Is that something that you could share with
I don't think it'd be a
council?
problem, no.
Okay. Does this new policy address specifically and outline the responsibilities of rehired persons?
The responsibilities, well, it does specifically call out that, you know, it's incumbent upon the individual who is rehired to work out whatever they need to work out with OPERS. But in terms of other responsibilities, that person would be subject to, you know, the employee handbook and following our policies and procedures as a new hire, essentially.
Okay. And then my final question is around the fact that this policy does not require candidates being considered for rehire to take a civil service examination.
If they're rehired into the same position held at the time of retirement and it's a classified position.
Same position, classified. Okay. Open up for questions to my colleagues. Councilman Gallagher.
Hi. Take me through the thought process on the 10% cut. Seems arbitrary.
Well, the thought process was, I think, realizing that the person will essentially have two incomes and we're paying, you know, into the retirement twice. That was the number we came up with, and I believe it may be what we have applied to other people who have retired and rehired in the same position.
Yeah, this horse got out of the barn before this. That's why I said it was a little dangerous. So in essence, this is a broad brush retire, rehire with pretty much without exception, or we're going to get sued, right? Can't be pick and choosing.
So, the policy requires a justification for the retire, and it's not an entitlement.
I've been in the county 45 years. I know what that means.
Well, I do know that I have to sign off. I created the form, so I will definitely look at it and scrutinize.
I don't know. I just think I think we obviously need a policy, and I appreciate that. I just thought the 10% just jumped out at me as being absolutely arbitrary. And there were, historically in the county, the courts would do it, prosecutor wouldn't do it, the commissioners during buyouts would not allow it. It was all over the board. It was a mishmash, and quite honestly, it still is when you have separately elected. So I'm just concerned that friends of friends will be taken care of.
Well, again, I did create a form that would be used in connection with this. And so the form specifically says that I have to sign off on and then send up to the executive what the retiree's base salary was at the time of retirement and what the proposed new salary is. And so I can assure you from an HR perspective that we will look at that and make sure the rule is even-handedly applied.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you, Director. It's always nice to see you.
Good morning.
And applauded to the administration for coming up with this. I know it was a lot of hard work. I just have some nuances that I Wouldn't mind it. It's up to 10%, right? It could be
At
20%
least.
less. It could be 50% less, right?
Yes.
So it's up to, and then that's where the discretion, but validated and explained discretion is part of the process. And everybody that is applying for it through the chair will be agreeing to it, or they won't accept it. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Our chairwoman touched on this, classified, unclassified, not taking the PER or the civil service test. I think we're going to run into a little sticky wicket because somebody's on the list. They're number one. They're waiting for this job. And then if they come and not have to take the test, they go back on the bottom. So I see some complications there as it moves forward, and that's very specific. You want to tell me about that?
So, my thought in the type of classified positions that, this procedure would be applicable to, I'm thinking that perhaps there isn't a list out there yet for the appointing authority that would be seeking to rehire the retiree into the position. But it's possible that there could be an existing list, but in circumstances where someone is retiring and then immediately rehiring into the position, my thought would be that there wouldn't be a list established yet. Because I did talk to the PRC about this, Director Rebecca Kupczynski, and the PRC did acknowledge that for someone who's been serving in the position for a long time, they would deem that person eligible for rehire and would not make them take the civil service examination.
Through the chair, this is kind of as my or chairman of safety. It could be a sticky wicket because of, there's an eligible. And when you said I don't think there is anybody, this is across the board, and I could see somebody saying, I'm a level C4 employee, and I have this expertise that is very unique, and I think I should be hired, and it's for every city or county employee. So it's unlikely, but I can see it. I want this as tight as possible so we don't run into issues. So we're hearing it for the first time today, and I know all of my colleagues add value when we talk to you, and I know you're going to take it serious, and whatever you believe added value from our conversation today is something that you can maybe bring up if we pass it out today, second reading or third reading. Okay? You can, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, sorry. One thing I would like to add that I don't think I hit on was that this situation should really be the exception, not the norm.
Yeah.
And an exception to address a very specific need that the county has for a given duration of time. So it should also be temporary in nature, and when I say temporary, that doesn't necessarily mean a few months, but it could be several years, but with the goal of eliminating the need that was required to justify the rehire. So maybe training someone up, skilling someone up to step into the role. Yeah.
That's going to preclude the person that really, really, really wants to come back because it's been, their game plan. Train them. And our goal is not to have them come back, right?
Yes.
In regards to the training that Katie's or Chief Gallagher's putting in place. Do you know off the top of your head how many folks have been rehired in the last 6 years or so? You can just get that because it's not that many.
Sure.
Yeah,
I can
it's
get
one
that number.
And when through the chair, when this came up, was the executive, because it's going to come through the different departments, right? To a piece of paper to you, and after you approve it or disapprove it, if you approve it, it goes to the executive. If you don't, it stops there. Is that correct?
If I didn't approve something, I would still send it up to the executive just so they were at least in the know.
Thank you. And then if the executive has this thought process, it comes back to you for your decision and then goes back to the executive?
So the policy just requires the county executive or designee final approval in order for the appointment to be permitted to move forward.
Thank you. And through the chair to the director, I think I'd recommend that no matter who it is, it goes to you, because your eyes are the one that states through our chairman of public safety, you're looking at him saying, I got this one. Right? Does that maybe make some thought process, or that got in my brain? And the two other ones, and I'll be done, Madam Chairwoman, are definition of words, where you have some ambiguity, because good standing and similar. Similar's same, I got that one. Similar, it's like may and shall. And good standing, is that defined as what's in the personnel file? And if you have two steps of verbal warning and written warning, does that make you out of good standing? I wouldn't mind knowing what good standing is defined as, so we don't run into that. And then similar, I wouldn't mind giving the executive and you some flexibility, so I'm cool with it, but the definition of similar is probably undefined, but you'll define it as the time when the question arose, you'll be able to describe why it's similar. Would that be accurate?
That would be accurate.
Well, through the chair to the director, thank you for letting me ask my questions, and I hope I added some value.
I have one more thing to add, if I could. So we did specifically include a couple examples of good standing in the proposed ordinance. So one example would be, someone who was under a performance improvement plan in their position at the time of retirement. So that person wouldn't be in good standing for rehire, again, because if they were under a performance improvement plan, then there really isn't an operational need to rehire them in the same position. If there's a question about how they're performing and their efficiency. And then another example we included was someone under a pending discipline investigation. So not necessarily discipline that's in the file, but if there's a pending investigation and they go ahead and retire, before the investigation is complete, that person would not be in good standing either.
Chair, thank you. That gives me more comfort level that you focused on it with your team, came up with those, and whatever other ones, if it does come up, it's fine, but that's plenty for me.
Okay, thank you. Just a few more on the civil service examination. Why wouldn't we want to level the playing field to ensure that all candidates take the examination? I hope that we have the confidence that the exiting employee has the capability of passing the exam.
Yes, and I think that was our thought and the PRC's thought in deeming them eligible was if someone had been performing in the position and their job duties kind of govern what the position entails, that yes, they would be able to pass the exam. Another thought is, if there really is a critical operational need and we're putting someone right back into their position, is it really fair to have a civil service exam and have people take the time to compete and be put on an eligibility list when there's a person in mind very specifically that we want to put in the position? So it's a balance, but definitely understand your concern.
Do you believe that this could have a severe impact on the morale of existing employees who believe that they have a legitimate chance of obtaining that position?
Yes, I think so. But the thought would be, I think we would have to be very careful in what we permitted to deal with the morale issue in the sense that there really isn't someone who is ready to step in and take on that role at a given time.
Okay. Is there a time frame that the rehire can stay with us? We're putting succession plans in place and documenting procedures. Have we codified that?
So I want to say I remember from my time in the law department that I don't know that you can put necessarily a time frame in line with someone's employment, but again, the succession plan is required to be submitted with the request for rehire. So, as long as, we're being diligent and watching that, we should be able to see when the succession plan is ready for implementation.
Okay. All right, well.
I'm good.
There are no further questions. Director, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
today. May I have a motion to move this item to the full body for second reading?
So move.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you. All right. So Dr. Gullett?
Nope.
Okay, so how do we proceed?
We can continue to hold it in committee if that's your preference.
Okay. We will hold it until further notice. All right, there's any miscellaneous business? There is none. This meeting is adjourned.